I want to start by saying Hi-Fi Rush is a really good video game.
This is awesome!
Developed by Tango Gameworks, it was released on January 25th of 2023, the same day it was announced. It quickly gained critical and commercial success owing to its colorful style, lively characters, and satisfying rhythm-based combat. It is good. It is fun to play. It is a breath of fresh air in an industry dominated by tedious live service gear grinding nightmare factories designed to vacuum money out of your wallet while providing the bare minimum in terms of actually engaging material. So understand that when I criticize Hi-Fi Rush, it's coming from a place of love. I mean, I can't hate anything where the main character uses a guitar as a melee weapon. It's like my one weakness. But my issues with Hi-Fi Rush have nothing to do with the gameplay. In fact, the gameplay is pretty flawless. Except for when I'm bad at it. If you haven't played it, Hi-Fi Rush is essentially a character action game in the tradition of Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, or Nightmare Before Christmas. The twist is that your attacks are always to the beat of the music, and you do better by timing your actual button presses to that beat. It works really well and infuses every fight with a sense of rhythm and pace that feels natural and just satisfying. So satisfying that I found the game hard to put down. Everything was clicking. The combat, the level design, the boss variety, the quirky cast of food-themed characters. It all worked. And then I got to the ending. Hi-Fi Rush is a game that fundamentally misses the point of its own story. The story's conclusion is at odds with the themes presented throughout. And I want to stress that this didn't ruin the experience for me. There is still a fairly cathartic emotional climax for our main character, but the way the narrative wraps up feels inconsistent with the rest of the piece, and I'm left with a game that feels a little hollow. It comes so very close to saying something transgressive, only to basically wuss out at the end and severely pull its punches. So I want to talk about that. We're going to dive into what Hi-Fi Rush is about and what it seems to think it's saying. If you haven't played Hi-Fi Rush, I do suggest you go do that before watching this, because I'm going to spoil the entire thing. If you don't want to play it, then I will try to provide context for you as we go. Hi-Fi Rush is a cyberpunk game. Cyberpunk mixed with the aesthetic of a Saturday morning cartoon and the high-energy protagonist of shonen anime, but cyberpunk nonetheless. There are robot arms and hackers and all-powerful megacorporations that seem to have an incredibly large influence on the daily lives and well-beings of the people that live within the city. You know, cyberpunk stuff. We're introduced to Chai, our high-energy shonen anime protagonist. He's a wannabe rock star with a busted-up arm and a dream.
Profession, rock star.
Future rock star.
Are you done?
Chai has volunteered to be a test subject for Project Armstrong, a program started by giant tech megacorporation Vandelay Technologies with the goal of providing people with cool robot enhancements. This is presented as a bold new frontier in human advancement, the perfect melding of man and machine, but it's made clear right away that the boss of Vandelay Technologies, Cale Vandelay, has ulterior motives. We quickly see that Cale's altruistic attitude is just a front as he berates his staff and generally acts like a dick.
Promised me the best of the best, Mimosa.
Production asked for test subjects, Cale. Marketing delivered.
Don't pin it on Rekka! Tell that grandstander Zanzo in R&D.
We need people with influence, and you're giving me losers.
We don't really know what he's planning at this point, but it's clearly, bad. Our hero, however, has no doubts about the program. He's willing to enthusiastically believe Vandelay's promises because it means he'll be able to fix his arm up and go be a rock star. During Chai's robot limb operation, his MP3 player gets caught in the machine and fused to his body, giving him rhythm-based superpowers or something. This gets him labeled as a defect, forcing him to fight his way through Vandelay's guards with the help of a mysterious robot cat who offers to aid him. Before long, Chai finds himself working with a group of misfits, hoping to get to the bottom of what Cale Vandelay is really planning and bring him down. What follows is a series of levels, taking the player through various parts of the Vandelay campus. You'll visit R&D, security, production, etc., all while making new allies and finding out more about the mysterious Project Spectra.
So Peppermint, this Spectrum thingy? What's that about?
Spectra. Our informant sent me code implying it's an AI. Apparently hidden in all Vandelay's Project Armstrong robotic parts.
Throughout the adventure, the game satirizes and pokes fun at corporate culture, often pointing out how horribly the staff are treated.
Workplace safety is our top priority. This volcano is deemed perfectly safe and harmless by the R&D investigation team.
We're not supposed to question Zanzo, but that whole 8 days a week thing? Even more suspicious. Why are there 4 Mondays in a row now?
The frontline workers at Vandelay are robots, and because of that, they are often made to work extremely long hours with little benefit. This is an obvious metaphor for the way large corporations view their workers. They're replaceable machines whose only function is to serve their purpose. It's actually a pretty common metaphor throughout fiction. God, Okumura, you are such an asshole. Wait, don't Chai and Akechi have the same voice actor?
Let's see you drop dead one at a time in front of your precious friends!
It's revealed that Project Spectra is a plan to control people's minds through their robot enhancements.
I know you probably think Spectra is nefarious, but I disagree. It's simply nudging people into the Vandelay ecosystem.
Wait, this is all an overly complicated plan to sell more product?
Do you have any idea how difficult it is to make something people actually want to buy? It's ridiculously hard!
A common trend in cyberpunk fiction, and in, the world generally, is the massive control corporations have over our lives. Spectra being used to literally mind control the masses into purchasing and consuming things they likely don't even need is an exaggerated way of exploring the concept of mass market capitalism. Companies bombard people with advertisements, telling them how much they need certain products, and these advertisements have only become larger parts of our lives over the years as they infect the media we consume in order to subliminally market to us when we least expect it, because as it turns out, it's often very lucrative for production studios to simply bend the knee when an advertiser asks them to include their product.
Sorry you feel that way, but basically it's the nature of the beast. Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out.
All of this is great. Hi-Fi Rush has a very clear vision of what it's satirizing, and it's very effective at it. At least it was, right up until the end.
I'd love to help, but don't quite think I, fit a job description. So maybe I should see myself out.
Jai, I think you know yourself, that you are special, making the most of what was handed to you and making a difference. I think that's the kind of attitude we need here right now. And Project Armstrong needs an ambassador, a leader, a real rock star. Are you interested?
Giant mega corporations are fine as long as the people running them are nice. So this just sucks. This ending is incredibly lame. The heroes beat Kale, destroy Spectra, and then just hand the company back to its founder and take jobs for the company, with Chai becoming a fucking brand ambassador for the new Project Armstrong. And honestly, I should have seen this coming. Throughout the story, we hear about Roxanne Vandelay, Kale's mother, and more importantly, the woman who started the company.
Hey, there's Kale! And that's, what's her name? The old Vandelay boss.
Roxanne Vandelay? Are you serious, Chai? She built the company from the ground up. Know your history.
Jeez, no need to yell.
Just give credit where it's due.
Under her leadership, the company was, nice. They did good things. They treated their employees well. And, that's all great. That's what you want, ideally. But we then see how Kale was able to take these systems in this position of power and use them to fit his own ends because the systems themselves are the problem. The fact that a giant megacorporation has the power to even conceivably do this is the problem. The fact that this is the logical end goal in a system where companies are incentivized to make as much profit as possible is the problem. And look, I don't need a story to cater to my politics to enjoy it. But the game itself is the one bringing these ideas to the table and then dismissing them. Chai's character journey is supposed to be about realizing that there aren't always shortcuts in life. He's obsessed with being a rock star but can barely play the guitar. He realizes that if he has a passion for something, he should fight for it.
I hope you learned something from all this.
Wait, there was a lesson?
pretty sure you were hoping Project Armstrong would give you a shortcut to what you always wanted.
True.
And that wasn't exactly what you got.
Also true.
And you realized that you actually have to put in the work to get what you want.
I see where you're going with this.
And then they resolve that journey by giving him a fancy title and a job that basically requires him to do nothing. He's going to be a rock star by literally being a shill for a corporation. I just... Honestly, despite all of that, this is a great game. Its characters are fun, its action is frenetic, its animation is bursting at the seams with creativity and passion. It's often really funny, but I can't shake the feeling that the story really stumbles right at the finish line. After spending the game hearing about how great Roxanne was as a CEO, we finally meet her and she claims she helped create Spectra. Now this is a lie, she's being mind controlled by Kale, and I'm not suggesting that she should have actually been evil. That might have been too much of a downer for this game's tone, but I'd think this would give her a moment of reflection about how what she built was able to be so easily abused with near impunity for like years. But we don't get that. Things are back to normal at Vandelay, and that's great. It's just strange to me to spend an entire game traveling through the inner workings of a company, seeing firsthand how little power anybody has to stop anything, and then end that game by handing the company back to someone nicer who will, we assume, not abuse the company's power. That's just a band-aid. Roxanne can't be CEO forever. What's to stop the next CEO from doing something else terrible? And you might say, well, you know, Chai and friends work there now, they'll stop it. But I don't buy that. 3 of your companions, Macaron, Cinnamon, and Corsica, all work for Vandelay at the start of the story. Macaron actively wants things to get better, but has no power to change things. A company that mistreats its employees or does something unethical is not going to give power to potential whistleblowers. A new CEO could simply fire them or demote them, and that would be a perfectly normal part of business. It took Chai and Peppermint, 2 outsiders, to actually stop what Kale was doing because nobody on the inside could do anything to stop it without breaking the rules. And Corsica, who starts the game as an enemy, was kept in the dark about Spectra because Kale knew she would be a potential problem. She was in a position of power in the company but was still unable to do anything because the company wasn't telling her everything, which is, again, a normal thing that any future CEO could do. My point is that even though the bad guy was defeated, there's nothing done to address the systems in place that allowed him to enact his nefarious schemes. This means, potentially, all they've done is solve the problem for now. And this is really only a problem because the game itself is so focused on criticizing giant corporations. It will satirize and call out the terrible behavior of massive companies without once questioning whether or not they should have the power to enact that behavior in the first place. At the very least, I think Chai should have turned down the job. Let his friends work to make the company better, sure. But when I think Rockstar, I don't think brand ambassador. At least, I really shouldn't. Chai starts the story blindly trusting a giant corporation to give him what he wants, and that's basically where he ends it. I would think he would walk away from this experience ready to make it on his own, ready to fight the system like an actual rock star. But no, I guess he'll spend his rock star career writing jingles and doing fucking PSAs about robot arms. So that's Hi-Fi Rush. A game I love. I just wish I could love it like a little bit more. You should play it, and I hope we get more games like it. It's a laser-focused experience that absolutely nails its gameplay loop in the best way possible. So many games these days are so broad in scope that they don't do any one thing all that well. And in a market filled with corporate cash grabs, I'm glad an 8-hour character action game that's not an established franchise can still get made and do fairly well. And who knows, maybe we'll see Chai and the gang again someday. I definitely hope so.
This is just too much work.
Okay, I know I was a little mean, but honestly, I like this game a lot. It's really good. It's a really, really good game, and I swear to God, if this does not win Best Action Game, I'm going to come to Jeff Keighley's house. Or at the very least, I'm going to write a very strongly worded tweet.